like and subscribe. What seems like a good thing in a relationship, but you've learned, is really a red flag. Being the center of someone else's universe, shudder. It seemed romantic to me as a teen. As an adult, I understand that it is generally a nightmare. OMG, this one just gives me hives. When I start dating someone new and fear all about Merlot vertical bar, so many IP vibes. Like, I know this is not how you normally are. So when are you going to be normal? Cause fatter as a real person behind the mask. This. I broke up with my ex after a year and a half because of this. I couldn't handle it anymore, cause all day long I barely had an hour to myself throughout the day. It took me forever to realize how bad this was, and by the time I realized, I hadn't even spoken to my friends in over 6 months. It was so freaking bad. After breakup she kept giving me reasons for this, saying it was the lockdown app. But nope, I couldn't do it anymore. So true. I broke up with my ex after 4 years because of this. It was so overwhelming. I had a mental breakdown. It hurts a lot. It really is a nightmare. I dated someone for a few months, 5 months to be exact, and he was the worst. I needed to be there for him 24/7, because he did not have much of a life. If I did not stay in call for most of the day, he cries and whines. Felt so lonely and isolated, and lost a big chunk of my friends because he would constantly turn me against them. Eventually I dumped him, but his creepiness did not end there. He kept stalking me, logged into my Google account, contacted my now BF at some point, lied about me to other people, telling them I cheated and used him for money. Obsession is not cute. This is #1, for sure. As young girls we are taught that our value is derived from boys wanting our attention. But it truly is a nightmare. I'd rather be alone for 1000 years than be with someone like this. Funny how in romance novels it works, but it's neat at first, then quickly becomes suffocating, and even dangerous in some cases. All my exes are crazy. Oh. Sure. The common denominator there is you, though. Oh, so you tend to drive people insane then. That statement is always followed by "you're not like other girls," which is another glaring red flag. Definitely a red flag, but how did it seem like a good thing at first? A year into a terrible relationship with this exact man, I said, the thing is, this narrative you have where all your exes are insane. Wanna it, I'd just be insane when we break up, then. And he became hysterical that I was gaslighting him. Yes, and we broke up, and yes, he calls me crazy. My ex had me believing his last ex was the worst person on earth, until we broke up, and a mutual friend told me what he was saying to his new girlfriend about me. All lies. Cannot believe he had us thinking we were the crazy ones. Listen. I need you. I can't live without you. I don't need anyone else in my life. Basically any iteration of an over-devotion to the other person, aka love bombing. Everyone needs some form of family, friends, hobbies, work-life balance, personal fulfillment, etc. You cannot sustain a healthy and happy life when your world revolves around one individual. Editing to add this here too. What I mean is when the individual cuts everyone else in their life off. Friends, family, any semblance of their own life. The "I need you" variations just open up the danger of codependency and control. The recipient feels responsible for the individual's well-being. I guess love bombing should be separate from that. It's just my experience that the love bombing entails statements like that. Clearly this is what makes it a supposed good thing, when it's actually a red flag. My husband has never once told me he needs me, and he is incredibly loyal, and has been for the last 2 decades. Usually followed by, "If you leave me I'll kill myself." Emotional abuse sucks. Like, the amount of times I've heard I don't need any friends. My partner is all I need. It's never a good idea to only have one close relationship. If someone tells you they don't need another woman, would you consider that love bombing too? I'll never forget when my cousin was defending her pose BF because he was being loud and obnoxious. She said something like, "I know he can be a jerk, but he needs me, and I need him." Set a precedent for my own relationships. Basically any iteration of an over-devotion to the other person, aka love bombing. Everyone needs some form of family, friends, hobbies, work-life balance, personal fulfillment, etc. You cannot sustain a healthy and happy life when your world revolves around one individual. A widower complained to me that every woman he dates has been selfish. I knew in a New York minute that the guy wanted them to quit their hobbies, friendships, even having dogs, to devote themselves to the unpaid full-time position of widower personal assistants. The first time I got love bombed by a guy it felt weird, but I ignored my gut with a hand wave and a maybe he's just a genuinely nice guy. Nope. The minute he saw someone he wanted more he left me in the lurch. I didn't have a car, and he was supposed to pick me up and take me to this house party, his house party, that he'd been hyping up to me for weeks, and how important it was for me to be there, blah blah blah. Well, his ex-girlfriend showed up, and he decided that instead of picking me up, I worked late, and wouldn't be home, and ready until after the party started. It was a better idea to get drunk, and spend most of the party in his bedroom. I'm his ex. Friends who were already at the party gave me the details when I called around trying to figure out why he wasn't answering his phone. Joke's on him, I took a cab just so he'd have to see my face when he finally staggered out of his room. I ignored him the rest of the night, took a bottle of his booze home with me, and somehow managed to lose his phone number. Someone who always agrees with you. They're lying. Lying, or on the off chance they are inanimate, they are so thoughtless and bland. Why would you want to be with them? I want someone with common values as me, certain fundamental, non-negotiables, but other than that like spar with me, disagree. Please have a mind of your own. Yup. Some people just agree and agree. Until they randomly explode on you. Shivers. Yes. Wound up marrying. Because I thought we were so compatible. Nope, he just held it in to build years of resentment towards me. This goes along the lines of when I want to hear her opinion, but Sheila's only giving me the opinion she thinks I want. Like, no, I already know what I think, and that is why I am asking you. Yep. I briefly dated a guy who pursued me hard, and I kept thinking how crazy and nice it was that we had the same taste in basically everything. That did not last long. He basically had a pattern of chameleoning himself into the perfect match for any prospective friend or girlfriend who came along. Looking back, I genuinely cannot tell what he actually enjoyed or thought, and what was all a front. Gives me the creeps. When I was younger, so many people told me that frequent fights were necessary and a sign of passion in a relationship. Now that I am older, I have come to find frequent fights often means partners are failing to communicate, and things that could be resolved through conversation are left to fester until they explode into those fights. Even worse, I had an ex who kept convincing me that constant fighting is normal. An ex for many other reasons, nor nurture so vertical bar. Agree with this. But also, happy cake day. Either extreme is a bad sign. No fighting at all is a sign you aren't communicating either. Edit, I should have used the word disagreement. If you never ever disagree, it's a bad sign. Or much worse, someone who likes to argue and admits to it. Conflict is natural, but there is a difference between debating things to gather a new perspective on a certain topic and arguing for the sake of arguing. One has a malicious intent behind it, and deters those types of people who you have to watch out for. I thought I was with the one because we screamed and fought just like me and my parents would. He even said that meant it was good. Turns out my parents are awful people, and so was he. Yeah, my brother told me it was not normal that my partner and I did not fight. Sorry, I want to break the cycle of abuse we grew up with and communicate with someone that actually listens to me. Cracking jokes at your expense and disregarding your feelings as just being sensitive. Heather's only a comedian when it comes to making fun of you. That sucks. It's such a red flag on dating apps when they say you need to get their sense of humor. That just means he'll insult you like you did a joke in front of his friends. English wasn't my ex-husband's first language, although he spoke it perfectly. His first language was one that I'd done at school as it was a required second language in our country, but I wasn't good at it, and definitely wasn't on a conversation level. When we were married I always felt left out, because he only spoke his language to his friends and family and I could only pick up bits and pieces of the conversation. When I did make an effort at trying to speak his language he always laughed at me for making mistakes, and then would tell his friends, so they could laugh too. I stopped trying very quickly. This is my husband. It is honestly the biggest barrier in our relationship. I have explained to him that when are younger, but of every one of his jokes, it makes it difficult for me to see him in a romantic light. Why do I want to be affectionate with the guy who just joked that I am dumb? I agree that it is a red flag. Or making rude jokes about the people you care about. I just don't go for that type of humor. Why/how would this ever be a good teen go vertical bar? Or this one? Right along the lines of, here's the life of the party, until it becomes into doing shady stuff, and breaking your trust. This is why my ex and I broke up. Even when we talked post-breakup she did not understand how it hurt my feelings to make jokes about my clothes, or how bad I'm at things. I always thought it was just me being too sensitive. Heller's confessing his deepest darkest secrets to me. Wow, he must really trust me. Well yeah, but also his deepest darkest secrets just revealed he has larger issues, and makes him seem like a horrible person. Red flag vs. But for him, Heller's so misunderstood. I am the only one that can understand him. D vertical bar B-E-U-R-E-U-R-E-D vertical bar B-E-U-R-E-U-R-E. Haha yes. Oh, yes. I had to also contend with my ego at some point, and ask just how often they are playing up the poor me act. I'm a trustworthy person and pride myself on being approachable, but anyone who willing, tells that kind of stuff to someone they literally don't know nearly at all. Also tells anyone else who will listen what a victim they are. I'm not that special, they're just a wreck. My ex admitted to being violent to his mom once in the past. I thought it was really personal, and I was glad he opened up. I was 16 over 17 at the time. Few months later I broke up, because he was physically abusive to me. For a semi-lighter version of this, I'd add in being the only person he ever shares deep things with. Women are sometimes expected to be the emotional outlet for men who don't feel comfortable being emotional in front of anyone else, and it can create such an unfair, unhealthy dynamic. Do you want a therapist or a girlfriend? No one wants to be the outlet for all of someone's negative feelings. Oh, this one hits home, mayo. Oh boy, to add on to this, if either of you compares the relationship of Veronica and JD from Heathers, major red flags, that's not cute. I can change if all my friends do this lol. I tried to do this when I was young, like 19. Yeah, it did not work and I learned my lesson. I'm so spontaneous, love a good time and carefree equals lunatic. I'm unreliable, I do what I want without concern for the consequences for others, and have no sense of responsibility. Guffaw. I relate to this so much. The lunatic part has made me permanently allergic. Can you elaborate? I quit my job today because it's boring. No, I have no plan of how to help you pay our bills, because I haven't even been looking for a new job at all, and I feel no rush to do so. Fun. My ex. Loving his mother a little too much. Or his sister. This reminds me of a little anecdote. I went on 2 dates with this guy I met online shortly after Mother's Day. The first date he asked if I did anything with my mother, which was kind of odd phrasing to me, but I thought, whatever, it's small talk. He told me I baked a pie with mother, which was also weird, but I figured that some families just have a different dynamic than mine, and I left it be. The second date, we went to a movie then got dessert at Redditis. He thumbed through the menu, and said I told mother we would never go here without a coupon. And that did something to me. A switch flipped in my brain. We mutually ghosted each other, which seemed odd considering I think I'm more well adjusted, but dodged a bullet either way. Norman Bates. Or his cousin. Why is this a red flag? How does it impact a relationship? Loving his mom is a red flag to you? You really have some issues, D. Hey, let me get access to your phone, so I can leave random notes and cute pics for you. Why were some of my contacts deleted, text messages replied to, and a few pictures deleted? I see what anyone says normal people don't leave not or cute pics on your phone. They leave real notes, or send you the things. That is definitely a red flag for sure. I've been married for a long time and we have never ever not once handled each other's phones or other personal stuff. Neither of us have ever had anything to hide. I have a friend however who also has been married for a long time who described their marriage as he has a tracking app on her phone, spies constantly, follows her everywhere in the house, insists she's on the phone with him for his entire lunch break at work. When we worked together, she'd walk in the door and the office phone would ring within a couple minutes. It was him. Another time we were taking a walk at a trail, and as we approached the end he literally steps out of the bushes, gave me a heart attack. This trail takes an hour to go around, so was he sitting in the bushes for an hour? Creepy AF. Anyway, he would have driven me absolutely nuts. Could never put up with that. Joe Goldberg. Mayo legit, that's what my ex did to me. DD pounds. Oh man, I would be so mad. When your partner never lets you pay for anything. Or the flip side, when they expect you to pay for everything. YESSSS. OMG, this one is good. Always have ownership of something, because if he/she leaves you are left with nothing. Came here to say this. It seems sweet at the beginning, but eventually feels incredibly twisted. Really? Can you expand on this? Crazy thing was my best friend dated a guy like this. He wouldn't even let me buy her a drink on her birthday. Threw my card back at me and told me to stay in my lane. For a while they'd excuse it because he's from Europe. They're just the culture now, my guy. He's just a controlling crazy person. Yes. On top of the issues it causes with financial dependence and the feeling like you owe them something, I personally find it incredibly infantilizing when someone insists on paying everything, no matter how cheap. I am an adult, I have money to my name, I can pay for things as well. Idolization. Granted, when you're younger, and especially an insecure teenager, you don't think it's that. When someone worships the ground you walk on, they most definitely aren't actually paying attention to you as a person. I also stupidly thought some people preferring nations more was good. Oh honey. No. I have an ex like this. It was so creepy, and he ended up cheating with a really sweet Chinese girl who had no idea either. It's totally okay to have preferences, but to hyper-focus on someone over their race is weird. Can you elaborate more on why preferring nations is bad? What ideals do people have about Asians that would make them prefer to date Asians? Curious because I am Asian and I prefer to date Asians because I find them more relatable. Parents have a key to their apartment or home. You are never getting privacy over there. I mean, it depends on the situation. Last year when all the childcare centers/schools were shut down, my husband and I were both working, so we gave my mom a key so she could watch our child. She never showed up unexpectedly, so it was practical and never an issue. On the other hand, I know people whose parents have no reason to have a key to the apartment/house who seem to feel like it's their right to have access to their adult children whenever. Both of my parents have a key, but they'd never come over uninvited. It's for emergencies. I can see other parents barging in though. My dad has an emergency key, but I get your point. Just gotta be honest at that point. Not unreasonable at all to ask for some more privacy, and a good partner can swing it without throwing you under a bridge. This is pretty common where I'm from, as far as my experience goes. My parents have keys to my apartment, but they always call beforehand, and ring the bell when they arrive, or just stay away if I say that I'm not in the mood/busy. I can see how it would be infuriating if your parents disregarded those simple things, though. My mother-in-law has our spare key just in case we get locked out. We have hers as well. It depends on if they are allowed unfettered access. How quiet that person is in general. Everyone thinks wow they're so nice and quiet. Feed never hurt a fly, but behind closed doors that person can be the most verbal and rude person. Then they play victim real quick and no one would ever believe this quiet human being could ever be mean. Not all quiet people. But from my experience. This. This is why I avoid guys I've never seen get angry, or are always the nice guys, yada yada. If they turn abusive, people don't believe you because but he's such a reserved, quiet guy. He's so sweet. He's not capable of that. Or they wind up being passive aggressive, because they don't know how to communicate with anyone at all, so they just hint at the things that bother them, and make you bring it up. But even behind closed doors they get to pretend to be the good guy, because they aren't the one angry, or frustrated, and can always deny that their passive aggressive comments even mean anything. I'm crazy making. My boyfriend is really quiet, but is still pretty quiet and polite behind closed doors. Besides his family, I am one of the only ones is open with. Well, maybe some people pounds. I myself am pretty quiet, as are a few people I've dated. Even behind closed doors, we are still quiet. Yeah. I told a close friend of my ex that he was super mean / yelled at me all the time, and she did not believe me. She had known him 10 plus years and had never had a single issue with him. Just shows how different people are in relationships vs towards their family / friends. I also assume that men who are always quiet aren't very good communicators in a relationship. Being your partner's world. Obviously your partner should be important to you, and they can even be the most important person in your life, but they shouldn't be the only person you have in your life. That can create a very unhealthy dynamic, place too many unfair expectations on one person, and also it can be disastrous when / if the relationship ends. Codependency is no longer attractive to me. I recently got married and frequented the wedding planning subreddit quite a bit. I was shocked by the number of women asking for advice on choosing a bridal party, because they have no actual friends in their lives. It seems that a lot of women have the idea that friends are something you only need to keep around until you find a partner, and then it is all about the partner from then on. No matter how great your partner is, having only one person as your source of all intimacy, support, connection, conversation and perspective is not a great way to set your relationship up for success, nor is it good for your personal growth. Your world becomes so small if there is only one other person in it. That is not romantic to me at all, in my opinion. Having a romantic partner should enrich your life, not replace it. Putting all your eggs in the partner basket is not just unhealthy, it is also dangerous. A woman with close, caring friends is a woman who can seek advice and validation from those with her best interests at heart. A woman with a good social support network is a woman who has options if she ever needs to leave. A woman who has neither is a woman who is vulnerable. So much so that isolating a woman from her friends is a textbook tactic of abusers, one that often precedes a severe escalation of abuse. You are the reason why I am happy. Yikes, how about one of the reasons lol? I had a friend who said she and her BF both quit therapy because we have each other now just a few months into a relationship. They both really needed that therapy. Yep. He told me I was the only good in his life. Besides his parents. The guy I am currently started seeing, like within the last month, has started to tell people we work with the only reason he is staying is because he met me. I did not know you before July and you have a contract you're tied to. Jealousy. How would that be good at first lol? I feel like this highly depends on how they communicate it / deal with it. But I agree it often can be. I think it is normal and healthy to be to a degree. If you love and are with someone, obviously you'll be a bit protective. Overly though and not handling it well, yes. I get jealous and honestly it sucks, because I don't care if it hurts me, or I just feel like the other person is constantly flirting with other people. It is also something I have been working on. Love bombing. How? I fear sometimes that I'm being too much, and I hate to being the one doing this. When they constantly offer helpful but unsolicited advice on what you could or should do. From how to spend your money, to how to wear your hair, to what clothes you should be in, to exercise and weight loss. All under the guise of being helpful or concerned. You described my ex. He hated driving long distances, but loved to criticize my driving. It got to the point that, as soon as he started complaining, I'd pull over and get out. Then he would get mad that I was mad. Oh, this is a good one. To add to this, if they get needlessly frustrated or angry with you for not taking said advice, unless something very serious that might harm you / them, definitely controlling behavior and a red flag. People can have their preferences, whatever. But being overzealous about my skin color is a humongous no-no. Like, are you seeing me for who I am, or are you just here because I'm black? That's horrible. I'm sorry you have to deal with that. Clinginess / possessiveness. Discussing your future baby names a few short months into dating D. See, I'd love that D. Oh yeah, I got that nice surprise on the first date. Very odd and clingy vibes came. Second date did not come after that anymore. When they want to include you in everything they do. At first I found it sweet, but in the end it got very exhausting and toxic. I had a friend who liked to do everything with her boyfriend, which started out kinda cute, and then it quickly got really weird. Even if we planned a girls' night or a shopping trip, he tried to tag along. And we started to question, does she actually want to bring him, or is it him insisting on coming with her? And for what? Like, is he keeping an eye on her? Does he have his own friends to hang out with? It was bizarre. The last straw was when we went away on a weekend trip for a bachelorette party, and he invited himself along. He got his own hotel room and everything. We drew the line and said Hela's not coming out to the clubs with us, so he just sat in his own hotel room by himself every night. We had a serious talk with our friend after that trip and asked her if she was okay, and expressed our concerns that he seemed pretty controlling. Now Theo married with kids, and Hela's backed off a lot, but we still don't like him. Personally, I love this. After 8 years myself, and I still include each other in pretty much everything we do. Jealousy disguised as protectiveness. Similarly, controlling behavior disguised as protectiveness. Whatever they tell you, they are in it in the very beginning. For example, if they say I'm not a controlling person, I have no desire to control anyone at all. Red flag, they are controlling most likely. Also, if they get seriously jealous over others checking you out, or enjoying your beauty and get upset. Ooh, this is a good one. Likewise, and it's hard to describe, but when people turn things into the type of person they are. I'm the type of person that doesn't like to wait in line. Gee, hot take, Hannah, but that's most people. You're just using that as an excuse to be a turd when lines inevitably happen. I always say that if a guy has to tell you he's a nice guy, he's not a nice guy. Pretty much true in my experience. Which I think is similar to this point. Someone who says they never lie will turn out to be a compulsive or pathological liar. Truthful people won't make this claim. Honestly, no fighting. If you cannot disagree well, it probably won't work out in the long run. It depends on the kind of fighting. If you mean discussion, I wholeheartedly agree with you. There can be so much growth from struggle. Yes. When calm is more important than having feelings and emotions, you grow apart. There has to be some kind of conflict, just as discussions though, where both partners openly share their opinions. There can be disagreements, but a compromise has to happen if both disagree. One of my exes avoids any kind of conflict. How can a couple grow and become stronger together if there is none? They can't. He backed away every time we had a disagreement. It gave me so much stress, because that's not how it's supposed to be. Extreme conflict avoidance is going to lead to resentment and frustration on both ends. I've been in my current relationship for nearly 2 years. We've never fought. We snapped at each other for a while, when we were both putting weed, and he was also getting off nicotine lol, but that's been the worst. Being able to communicate, and not having to fight, is pretty sweet, if you ask me. Definitely, we went for 4 years without really having so much as an animated discussion, and then it all kind of blew up. We'd always keep minor annoyances to ourselves, and never be entirely emotionally honest with each other. Luckily we worked through it, and our relationship is much better now, because we are more upfront with each other. Little things, like my husband cracking his knuckles, seem like they are not worth bringing up, but on the other hand, they're also very easy for the person to not do, if you're just honest about it in a non-aggressive or defensive way. If I'm honest, the expensive gifts early on. Also giving me them, when I was working, in a pub in the UK, so I had to react nicely. I wish someone had warned me, that I should have listened to my gut feelings about that. Dudes who are overprotective. Bonus points if they say they trust you, they just don't trust other men, because they know how other men think. If Heller's a man, and knows that all men have untoward intentions, what does that say about him? Excessively paying me compliments, especially superficial ones, and even complimenting imaginary things. Super idealistic, projecting what you want me to be onto me, and hyper-focused on what I bring to the table for you, rather than considering whether or not we complement each other. Me, oh, I actually have no skills in that area, I have no clue how to properly use him. Oh, but you're just so amazing. I'm sure you'd be so good at that too. Wow, ddd. Me, asterisk RUNS for the HILLS asterisk. And dudes, we aren't gonna swoon, because you told us about how much you enjoy all of our physical attributes. Like, at all. In fact, it grosses me out that you think that's what I want you to value about me. Maybe compliment something about my, I dunno, personality? Honestly, there isn't just one thing I could list here. I could go on for days about straight male red flags. Intentionally single for 2 years now and feeling free. Lol. General neediness / codependency etc is terrifying to me, and people projecting their ideals onto me. Big gag. A man that promise you things ends up being the worst. They never keep their promises. I rather a guy not promise me anything. Same. They always do the opposite. I hate this so much. I put so much value on a promise and always keep mine, unless I have a valid reason that I can't and will apologize. But I hate when people just make empty promises. Calling you names, and continuing to do it, when you tell them to stop. Then sending a text, or whatever about how you overreacted, but it's okay, because they just love you so darn much. Or the backhanded compliments. You know you're pretty, I mean not supermodel pretty, but pretty enough. When they keep talking about how special you are, or how you are not like the other girls. Also if they tell you early on, that you are the one, and makes up this whole future you are going to have together. I used to see this as romantic, but it's super toxic. I also thought that was romantic, and now that relationship crashed and burned after a month. I still find myself hoping for that future sometimes, thinking it will happen someday. Seems like it was just a fantasy in the end. Overly impulsive partner. It's really fun in the beginning, but can get super flaky long term. Being worshipped. Way too much pressure. Being okay with everything they say, or always going their way. 3 months in, you don't really know me and me being a naive teen, it is just who he is, mysterious. NOOOO girl, you should have ended it there. Or later, stop being so sensitive to everything I say, while explaining why I do not like something, ending up people pleasing my way into continuing the relationship, because it thought it was normal, and did not deserve better / wasn't able to get anything better. Also not wanting to communicate. Big red flag. I made a lot of mistakes, by being naive and young, and not knowing the basic red flags. Luckily my current partner, and therapist, did teach me a lot. Oh, and also, when he keeps ignoring the notices, do not give in, but get them out of the house as soon as possible. Do not make the same mistake as I did and say yes, to make him shut up. Big red flag, very big. I gave in. I could have had a much better first time. Only having each other. I love my partner more than anything in the world, but now that Henna has decided he does not feel the same, I realize I am all alone. Don't let yourself rely solely on your partner. You have to have friends and family you can talk to. I had isolated myself as well, but then told myself that I should be allowed to talk to my friend who I considered like a brother, and was always there for me for 3 years. I'm glad I did in the end, because my relationship ended, and I still have support from my bro. He's helped me through everything. Never isolate yourself. You also need to hear outside perspectives and opinions during your relationship just in case you become blinded by love and miss the red flags. On the one hand sounds good, but not at an extreme level. On the other hand, I'm kinda a homebody. I get worn out from socializing. I sometimes need time to just be home relaxing. Time to myself. If I was in a relationship and they want me to be with them all the time, when they are aware I need to recharge, then that to me would be a red flag. I don't have any female friends. Never have and never will. I used to think that was a good thing, because I thought there wouldn't be a risk of cheating. Turns out, them having at least one female friend is beneficial, so they can understand our perspective a bit more. If they have never had any female friends, how could they understand their partner? Also, someone that attitude will probably also expect you to dump all your male friends when you get into a relationship with them. You're not like other women who off when they're super chill and go with the flow. It's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, but watch out for it turning into apathy and laziness. All of a sudden chill means making no decisions, no plans, and carrying no emotional weight in the relationship. What do you mean about carrying no emotional weight in the relationship? You've been visited by the ghost of a very important man. Pay your respects by liking and subscribing, and he'll grant you 3 weeks of good luck.